would I be without friends to take good care of me, my friends? What would I do? I would be alone on my own. Enemy, some say add spice to your life, but I've always hated to be so disliked. I can see why in this short span of time anyone does without friends. Friends, this is a song to thank you all for being my good friends. You only number just a few, but you are my good friends.
Hey friend, this is Kirk. I'm here with Frank Long, and we are so far the only two participants here in the Fanpalooza. We decided that we were gonna. Frank's my longtime co-host here, and we've done several shows together. But you know what? We thought we'd do something different. We'd try something where we're going to add some of the fans and just let everybody pile in, and maybe one person, maybe 35. I don't know. I may have to just, I don't know, make room for whoever I can make room for. But you know, we had about 908 views currently on the interview, the show we did for the Stephen Wilson remix, and I had a lot of fun. Frank wasn't able to come, but he'll be in on another show. I'm hoping, Frank, you're going to be in for the episode with Stanley Whitaker. Pete
We'll see.
Pardo.
I want to. Boy, I
Yeah,
want to. I got all my
just
Happy the Man and Oblivion Sun and Pedal Giants.
just tell your wife you're going to the bathroom for a minute. I'll be right back, honey, and pop in. But anyway, that's going to be coming up in August. But I'm excited about that. Pete Pardo, the Sea of Tranquility, he's the CEO, and he's going to be there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's a big Gentle Giant fan. He's a big Happy the Man fan, and he has championed Gentle Giant for a long time. He's
Yeah.
multiple.
I've had some chats on his YouTube channel and stuff with him back in the earlier days, but then he got so many fans that
Yeah,
he
he's
gets thousands of comments on his videos.
sure. Yeah, he can. I mean, I kind of like the fact that we're still, you know, it's just kind of a family thing here among the fans so far, and you know, who knows where it'll go from here. But the point isn't about me. It's just about or getting likes or subscribes. It's about the band we love. So,
But you got 900 views. That's
well,
awesome.
I mean, you know, for me, it's awesome. And
Well, yeah, that's a lot. It's like
yeah,
the ones that I did for my channel. I've gotten like 125. Which, hey, 125 is nothing to, you know.
yeah,
But I look at yours and I go, yeah, there's a lot more Gentle Giant fans out there.
well,
They
I
see Gentle Giant and they jump on it.
it's not, you know what, when I started the project, so to speak, I had no computer knowledge, had no way of, I don't equipment, and I didn't know what I was doing. But you know what? It was important to me, and I'm going to figure it out. And so it's been a lot of fun, and I've met a lot of cool people. So, um, you know, hearing some of the stories that everybody's been able to share along the way, it's been pretty cool. Um, what's been your favorite album of late? Mine kind of switches back and forth.
Gentle Giant or
Gentle Jack.
Gentle Giant. You know, it depends on my mood. When I'm doing like full Gentle Giant thing, I'll do the first three, and I do like the later albums when they came out. We're talking Giant for a Day, uh, getting work messages.
We got one ready to enter the room here. Second. But
Um,
anyway,
eh,
the
yeah.
writer
So
albums being
yeah, the thing is that Gentle Octopus is just a great album. The first two songs are probably some of their finest. Freehand, I love Freehand because it rocks. It's a solid piece altogether.
mhm.
Power and the Glory, I think, is the most cohesive. The sound is cohesive all the way through. And a Glass House, I like because of it's edgier, a little more experimental.
But it
And my
goes back and forth though. You change from time to time.
it yeah
I'm gonna
yeah
let this guest in and just welcome him, and
okay.
there goes. There. Hey, this is Kurt. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Doing well. I don't know whether you know Frank Long, but we just started the show, and we're gonna just let people in as we go. Um, so do we know each other? Have we talked on the phone, or we emailed each other, or
No.
what's your first name?
Dennis?
Dennis. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to keep track of who comes in here. I have no idea who's going to be here, but like I was telling Frank, we just wanted to get together and talk about Giant and see who shows up. So, how are you?
I appreciate it.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm on the East Coast.
Okay. I'm here in Springfield, Illinois, and Frank's up in Michigan.
Nope.
So,
Idaho.
oh, Idaho. I don't know
Idaho.
what I said. Yeah, Idaho.
About an hour or so south of Canada.
Okay. So, Dennis, I don't know I don't know how long you've been are you a member of the Aspirations Gentle Giant group here on
I
Facebook?
am, and I think it looks like I'm on several because I went looking for the Zoom information on this, and I had to go through two other Gentle Giant clubs.
Okay. Yeah. So, tell me about your first Gentle Giant experience and your just kind of your thoughts on them, and have you been to see them live and stuff like that?
Yeah, I did see them live once, and
Mhm.
actually in Baltimore in I think it was '76,
Okay.
and stayed after the show was over and was able to meet everyone in the band.
Oh wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was it was quite an experience. Prior to that, though, I had been raised in the DC area. There was only one FM music radio station to listen to
Mhm.
that I could tolerate. And it was a non-commercial radio from Georgetown University, and they happened to play a lot of Gentle Giant.
Hmm. Man, I can't imagine just hearing them openly on the radio.
Yeah.
But so um you said that was kind of the first times that you heard them was then, or what was your first
Yeah, I
experience?
think it was probably in the 72, maybe 73. I had seen the Octopus album cover flipping through records at different record stores around College Park, Maryland.
Was
And
it the U.S. cover or the
yeah,
Roger Dean?
the US cover.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't aware of the other cover until just recently, and it's amazing. But and I was kind of hoping that maybe part of this discussion we could talk about this new Steve Wilson
Oh yeah.
production that's
Oh
out.
yeah. I want everybody to just feel, hi Kira. Good to see you. Can you hear us? Yeah, you got you muted.
Yes, I can hear you.
There we go. I was
I
hoping.
first heard Gentle Giant on the radio, actually at UMass. I think it was a UMass station. It was back in the early 70s.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping you would join. So Dennis, go ahead with what you were saying. You were hoping that we'd talk about the Stephen Wilson remix, and
Yeah, I think that's the latest information for the band.
Mhm.
That was kind of exciting, that they're actually someone had taken an interest in the project.
Oh
And
yeah.
that particular album in particular, it seemed to be the deciding point for a lot of people, friends of mine, to kind of leave the world of Gentle Giant. They didn't pursue anything after that.
Yeah.
Many of my friends.
Because they weren't.
I've never left the band. Everything they put out. I'm a fan. I'm a fan for life.
Yeah. See, so 1976 that was when you saw them there in, you said Baltimore, but had Interview come out yet? I think
that was the Interview tour.
Okay.
Actually. I think, yeah.
Okay.
They didn't play very many songs from that. It was kind of a quickly put together show. I remember that, and it was infamously. And we had been, the small group of people I went with had been warned that for some bizarre reason, Gentle Giant's opening acts that played with them could be anything. And lo and behold, there was a local Baltimore disco band that opened up for the.
Were they good?
They were horrible. I mean, as far as disco goes, I think they were pretty well rehearsed, but they only played about 3 songs and they couldn't take it anymore. But I think the audience kind of let them know that, and they did stick around, 2 of the guys, and listen to Gentle Giant, and they were more than a little impressed, and it helped them understand why the audience kind of reacted the way they did.
Yeah. Well,
when I saw Gentle Giant on the Missing Piece tour, Dr. Feelgood opened for them. That was an experience.
So have you been to any of the fan gatherings, Dennis?
No. That's why I was kind of exciting that you were doing the Zoom.
Yeah.
And I hope this is something you might, continue with.
Yeah. Some of the shows are going to be bringing in maybe a little higher profile fans that their music intersects with their Gentle Giant fandom, which, maybe making conversation about Gentle Giant and their albums after a while can get hard to come up with things to say. But when you're, like Stanley Whitaker, I'm hoping to have him on in August, and from Happy the Man. And I got a guy that was in a band called Madrigal. He wants to, I'm hoping he can talk Billy Sherwood into popping in. Working on trying to get Carrie Livgren.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome. So, but basically I had the Steven Wilson, and then I'm going to have Charles Sniding that sent me a signed copy of this, the Strawberry Bricks. It's backwards in the screen, but the Strawberry Bricks Guide to Progressive Rock. He's going to be a guest.
Yeah, I've got that. It's fun. He's
a fan. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. But I was like, well, I got this dead space. I wanted to do a fan Zoom meeting and just see who shows up, and maybe I think after if the word gets around, then we'll have bigger gatherings. But I'm glad you showed up, Carol. How you been?
Me? Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Well, did you say you got a copy of the Steven Wilson, the album yet? Are you going to get one?
No, I haven't gotten any of those yet.
Okay. I mean, I like what I've liked what I've heard from Steven Wilson, and I definitely like that it gives you. I mean, you're hearing more in the songs that you weren't. Do you got a copy yourself, Dennis?
Yes, I do.
What'd you think?
I have a very expensive audio system for my home theater, and I remember being rather nervous when I first put it on, and it took less than 30 seconds for me to be completely impressed with what was going on. And I know I've read some negative or less than positive reviews of people's listening experiences, and I always question, what are they listening on?
Yeah.
And how do they have it adjusted? Because I'm up to date with the Dolby Atmos system, and I have reference audio equipment, so I'm not. I know what I have is a little bit above what most people have, but even the system I had prior to that, I'm a drummer, and that's the system I use in my basement to play along with, and so it doesn't have the Atmos capability, but it still has 5.1, and I've heard it sounds great on that as well. So.
Yeah, well, you and Frank have a couple of things in common. You both play the drums, and I think, Frank, you said your first, what caught your eye was the Octopus album yourself. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. But so I don't know what kind of, have you got a nice sound system yourself, Frank, or you got something?
No, 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 no. I don't have actually, I don't have anything. I got a turntable sitting up there that's not hooked up to anything right now. I don't have really an amp. Well, I got like an audio bar for the TV that never worked out well, and I could plug it into that. But I don't have many LPs left.
Yeah.
And so most of my listening is usually in the car or the truck at work.
Do you think having it on vinyl, there's something kind of special about listening to it on vinyl, Dennis? Or
Yeah, there is. Definitely. I tend to hear more separation, left to right in particular. I think the way everything combines, and going back to the Octopus album, I think is an excellent example of how it sonically mixes together, and that airspace between your ears and the speakers allows that to happen. It really is. I'm very prejudiced. I really am a Gentle Giant deep fan, and I've had the love to turn people on to it. It's not hard to find people that have never heard of them.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met 3 people in my entire life that have, just by asking, have you ever heard Gentle Giant? They actually said yes.
I know, same here. I think I told it in one of the podcasts that I did for Gentle Giant. I was working at a restaurant and I found out I heard Gentle Giant on the speakers, and I just about dropped what I had in my hands. I went running back to the back, and I found out the manager was he was a Gentle Giant fan, and I just completely dropped what I was doing, and the guys around me started to get mad at me, like, why isn't he working? But the manager didn't care. It was just like an instant connection, but he was the first Gentle Giant real fan. I've met a couple of people. I've heard of them, but yeah, it was just, I didn't meet anybody for like 10 years. So I don't want this to be interviewee. You guys just jump in, talk about something that's on your mind, anything. I mean,
in the missing piece you talked about a few minutes ago, when that album came out, there was somebody that dealt with a television production at a local Baltimore area broadcast that would use the music from that album, a song called Spooky. It has no
Spooky
lyrics.
Boogie. Spooky Boogie. That's actually from Giant for a Day.
Is it? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It has no lyrics. It's just
right.
And that's what they used as the background to play all the local happenings that were happening around Baltimore, community activities and everything. And it was very unusual for a couple of years in a row, almost every day, to hear little excerpts of Spooky Boogie on TV in Baltimore.
That's cool.
Hey, want to welcome another fan here. Hi, Charles. Can you hear us all right?
Oh, yes. I go by Chuck.
Okay, Chuck. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Did we talk on Messenger, or did you email me? I just wanted to check.
I don't think so. I typically just post, but right. Really, really excited to see this come up. It's a great thing.
Well, you know what? It's the first time around, and we just see how it goes. But
right.
I'm glad you joined. What part of you're in the United States, or?
Yeah, I'm in Idaho.
There you go.
Whereabouts?
Boise.
Boise, yeah. I'm Kellogg, Silver Valley, Shoshone County.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Opposite end. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Frank, is it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Frank,
awesome.
and Dennis and Kira. So, yeah. We were just talking about kind of first experiences. We were talking about first time you heard Gentle Giant.
Sure.
So, what was your kind of first?
My origin story?
Yeah.
Yeah, my origin story. I was working at a music store in Portland, Oregon, Denny's Music, and we were selling tickets for the Paramount Theater, and Gentle Giant came as an opening act for Sha Na Na. Yeah, just a horrible one of their legendary horrible double bills, So I went. I knew Sha Na Na, so we got free tickets. So I went. Had no idea who Gentle Giant were. Really? Concert just blew me away. The white cello grabbed me because I was a cellist all through high school and college. And Carrie's white cello, I just thought, well, anybody that has a white cello on stage, I like. But the music was just awesome. I don't even remember Sha Na Na. I don't even think I stayed. But that converted me. I was then privileged to see them again when I was I had a overseas tour semester in London, and I was able to see their show in the fall of 1975 in London. One of the rare times they actually played in London, and I was able to go to that. So those are my claims to fame, so to speak.
You said what year was it the first time you saw them there with Sha Na Na? What year?
It would have been, I think it was 72.
Had to be early.
Yeah, it was either spring. No, it was 72. I'm almost certain.
Okay. All right. Oh. That's okay.
Okay. So I got a question for Kira.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite album?
No.
You only got one choice. You can only have one choice.
Well, so my the first album I bought was Three Friends, and I think the second one was Acquiring the Taste, and then the others I bought as they came out. But I can't say, I mean, Three Friends has a special place in my heart because it's the first album. And as I told Carrie and Gary, it's just, I think to me, it's perfect music. It has the polyphony and the harmonies of classical music, and yet it has the claws and the growl of rock and roll. Or I put it something like that. And I just think compositionally it's really, really great. And then, but apart from that, there are songs I like on each album that are very near and dear, and then songs that I like less so much. But the entire corpus of their work is very special to me. And I've always not understood why other people aren't nuts about this music. It's just completely.
You said you told Carrie and Gary. Have you met the band?
Oh. Yeah, so I was one of the organizers for the first gatherings. So I got to meet them in person. I met Carrie in London in 2000. And I must have met Gary the same year, or maybe the year after that.
Wow.
Well, I've never heard a bad word spoken about any one of the band members, and they never got a giant, massive ego. They never were one of those where they didn't treat their fans, you know, with real respect, and they appreciated their fans. Stanley Whitaker had said in an interview, he said he had been around the band members and how they related to fans and how they related to the other bands they were playing with, and he said, I want to be like those guys. They've always been, you know, humble, decent guys. So anyway, I like the fact that the band has been putting out new stuff. You know, they've been putting out merchandise. They've been having Steven Wilson do remixes, and don't they have a couple more to do? Is that right, Frank?
I'm not sure. I saw a thing where I would love to see In a Glass House done, but evidently the master tapes are gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's done Freehand Octopus, Pound the Glory interview. He did the, what's it called? The three-piece suite, because he didn't have all of the Three Friends or the self-titled, the debut. So there's not a whole lot left to do. I mean, you can redo the later ones, but
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody really cares after interview.
I actually saw a comment, and I don't know if it's actually factual or not, but there was somebody that claimed to be working for the record company and that had instructed him to cut up boxes of master tapes, and that he knew that In a Glass House was in it. I couldn't verify that, but I passed that along to the band. But they've tried. They've tried. So I want to hear stories that I haven't heard before. I'm sure you've got some, Kira and Dennis. You said you got to kind of meet them. You said that was before or after the show?
I met them after the show.
After
in Baltimore. Yeah.
Okay. Was it? I mean, just quick. You had a couple signatures, and you hung out.
I'm not an autograph hound, but yeah, I stayed and Pugwash came out first, and then Ray, and it was just the two of us, and then the rest of the band. Derek was the last one to come out, and they were in a hurry to run off to continue a party somewhere. It was getting late, but Baltimore's a late night place to be. So
yeah,
but it was, I bought them beer, and and we sat and chatted for a long time, a lot about the new album. They were curious about how we received it, and they were glad to hear that they were getting some airplay off the college radio station. And also, I have relatives that were right outside of Boston. I spent the summer with them, and one of the Boston radio stations had a tendency to play a lot of progressive radio, and I used to hear, whenever I would go to Boston, I would listen to that one station, and they tended to play a lot. I was excited. Between DC and Baltimore and Boston, I could find good music.
Wow. Did you, I mean, was there any, I mean, do you remember anything particular about meeting them, like anything interesting that was said? I mean,
I got to talk at great lengths with Ray. They were doing a quadraphonic live setup on a violin solo, where he would play different violin pieces, and they would appear in 4 different corners of wherever they were. And this was at a place called the Hollywood Bowl in Baltimore. It was a very small bar, but it was, what a great place to see a band like that, because the violin solo, I think, might have been 15, 20 minutes long, but he was able to play electronically with the sound, and having it coming from 4 directions, and then had an echoplex running where it would repeat, put everything in a loop, and he'd end up playing with himself. So at times it sounded like there were 8 people up on the stage. It was just him. And I was delighted. I had my tongue out the whole time while I was being, and then he really, really wanted to talk about the technology behind it. And there wasn't anything digital going on. It was all analog. It was amazing.
I saw Phil Kagi do that one night. It was just amazing. He's pushing pedals with his feet and it was awesome, and talking into his guitar. It's fun, but it wasn't quadraphonic.
So,
go
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I did experience quadraphonic in concert twice. Before I went into service, I saw Pink Floyd at the Hollywood Bowl, but the one in Hollywood, in LA. And the other was Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the Anaheim Convention Center. It's actually the concert that was recorded for Welcome Back, My Friends. And we were on the floor, and the end of what's it, the third impression of what's it called?
Carnival 9.
Carnival 9. When the computer's going crazy, it's swirling all the way around it was awesome. And then his computer blew up. It was great.
Well, those are that's exactly one of the reasons I wanted to have more fans on, is because the story that you're telling, Dennis, and I know Kira's got a ton. You've got to have a ton of these little stories of interactions with the band, meeting with them, just getting their idea of what they were interested in, as far as hearing what the fans had to say. Those are the kind of stories that I wanted to be able to bring to light, because I mean, I'm going to be gone, we're all going to be gone someday, and these will be lost. So that's a great story. But you guys just jump in with something that's on your mind, or something you want to share. If you've got a story or something you remember interesting about the albums or whatever. I'm hoping we get some other people to come in, and I'm sorry to have lost Charles, but anyway, can you
one thing I wanted to mention was, you were talking about how nice the band was, and those that have met them. I didn't meet him, but when I saw him in LA at Santa Monica Civic, I can't remember if there was an opening band or not. It was like 73, late 73 or early. Actually, it was February of 74, because I went for my birthday. And Derek says, we're going to do a song off our new album, In a Glass House. Well, the crowd went nuts, and they were quite surprised, because, of course, at that time, it wasn't released over here. You had to buy an import, and it wasn't cheap. But they were quite surprised. I had a headache from smiling so much at the end of that concert.
Any concert I've ever been to, when they say, now we're going to play something off our new album, you're like, no, you don't know what you're in for. And I've been disappointed many times. When the Rush concerts I saw, they were still putting out a few albums, but their newer stuff I wasn't terribly impressed with. Back in, anything after Roll the Bones, I'm not a big fan of. But anyway, I know Frank has great taste in music. He's shared a couple of CDs with me. I like Green Slade, and I like the other stuff you've sent. I'm kind of going through those one at a time. But what other music do you like, Dennis? Were you just kind of into progressive rock to begin with before, when you?
Oh no, I've been playing drums since I was 9.
Okay.
In a high school, junior high and high school jazz band. So I played predominantly jazz, and I grew up in the era of Blood, Sweat, and Tears in Chicago. But I had a soft spot for big band, jazz, and it tended to be musically a little more difficult to play than certainly anything in the Led Zeppelin was doing. It was you could almost do it with one hand compared to, you know. So I was always attracted to a more technical aspect of music.
Mhm.
That's similar to my background because I was listening to Dave Brubeck and a lot of other jazz, and I was listening to a lot of what we'd call contemporary classical things with odd time signatures and things like that. So, you know, rock and roll was you know, I listened to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and Allman Brothers and all that because you know that what was on the radio, but really the things that I enjoyed the most were the things that were a lot more complicated. And, you know, I enjoy taking the music apart in my head and figuring out how all the pieces fit together.
Yeah, there was a jazz performer named Don Ellis, who one of Don Ellis's main running themes was he played a lot in odd time. His time signatures were never straight beat 4/4. They were always odd, very odd times. And
but they didn't feel odd.
no, they didn't.
That's what's cool.
And as a drummer, you don't realize that till you try to play along, and you instantly
Where'd one go? Yeah.
And I really like that. And Billy Cobham was
Yeah,
doing
huge,
that same thing.
huge
So
Billy Cobham fan. Yeah.
it was fun. I remember even just a teenager playing along to the Octopus album, and how many parts of that albums I couldn't play. I had to study. I had to really put the headphones on and listen carefully to what was he doing. And even now, after all these years, I hesitate on a couple of those songs that play there. It's difficult stuff.
That was the beauty of Pugwash is that I call him the Ringo of progressive rock because he just lays it down, doesn't do anything terribly fancy. He does at times, but it's really he's just laying a platform down and letting the rest of the band work. Just like Ringo sat in the back, played some tasty rhythms, and let the three guys in front do all the work. Because that's really where that's really the Beatles, songwriting wise, and you know, was the three boys, the three lads up front. But not that was it Martin Smith and one of the other guy.
Yeah, Malcolm Mortimer.
Weren't Mortimer.
Malcolm.
Yeah, weren't fabulous drummers. I just think that by the time Pugwash came in, they really had solidified the sound.
And the way he interprets the music from the other albums that he didn't play on, but he played live several pieces of it, and it's seamless the way he just incorporated it even live.
I'll have to go back to the live albums and pick out those.
Well,
That'd be interesting to hear.
Malcolm came from a jazz background.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was much more colorful, shall we say, which is good, you know, because I like that. I've done at least a couple decades of musical theater, so there's a lot of coloring that you do, and but Pugwash, and of course he was a rocker.
Oh yeah.
And he had fun up there. He was a joy to watch. Well, they all did, except Kerry looked like he was working all the time. You know, but like Ray and Derek and Gary were up there dancing around. And
yeah. So tell me, Dennis, would we recognize any of the bands that you played in? I mean,
no,
not really.
No.
What were the names of the bands? I loved that.
I played in high school a band called East of Eden, and then come to find out later on there was actually a very large, successful band out of England called East of Eden.
Yep.
That's the band I was in. I grew up in Bowie, Maryland, and our keyboard player, Charlie Smith, is he's the younger brother of Paul Reed Smith, who makes guitars.
Really?
And I was in Paul's band for a short period of time in high school, and Paul was a very unique person. he was part of our group. He was definitely a fan of Gentle Giant. I don't know that he is anymore. He, of course, he's a multimillionaire in infamy, and I've emailed him a couple of times and never got any response. But that was it. And when I was 18 years old, my drums were stolen.
Oh.
And I figured that was it. It's just not something you just wake up and go to the music store and replace. The cymbals alone were just too expensive. So, and I got married. We had kids. I felt like I would probably never play the drums again. And then out of the blue, on my 35th birthday, my wife bought me a set of drums.
Awesome.
And I told her, she'd never heard me play. She'd only heard stories. And I told her, you better be, I'll give you one chance to take these back. And a week later, I was playing in a nightclub.
Okay.
And I've been playing in bands. I'm about 30 minutes from Ocean City, Maryland. So there's a lot of places to play. And I taught both of my kids to play. The period of time where I had no drums, I learned to play guitar. My brother he just retired 35 years with the United States Army Jazz Band. And his wife retired the U.S. Army Concert Band as a cellist. And believe it or not, they're Gentle Giant fans too. Not to the degree that I am, but they can certainly appreciate that kind of work. They don't listen to a lot of rock. But if you put Gentle Giant on while they're sitting there, they'll listen to that.
Well, the thing is that Gentle Giant is much like jazz or classical music. It's something that you have to listen to. Pop rock or I mean, even say Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones. You can put that on in the background. I mean, we can put Gentle Giant on in the background, but the difference is the complexity, and you have to listen to it. I mean, you listen to some jazz, this, Dennis, that you got to listen, and especially when they came, the fusion came out. I can remember I was up in L.A. I think I was at the Musicians Union, and there was a band practicing, and they were doing this fusion stuff, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure out what the heck they were doing. It was impressive.
Well, I've heard fans make comments. And Christian Toma was just saying on our last show, he was saying there were several albums. It took him a while to warm up to, and they became his favorite albums. I was listening to Happy the Man the other day, and it had the same effect on me that hearing Gentle Giant did, because I didn't immediately I wasn't immediately connected with every song right away. But on second, third, fourth listen, it just kind of clicked with you.
They were the progressive Washington D.C.'s progressive Hall of Famers was Happy the Man. I've seen them. I can't even count how many times.
Really?
Oh yeah, they were a routine house band at the cellar door.
Oh gosh, I came late to their party because it wasn't until the internet and I started going, ooh, what's this look like? And then oh, and Hands and bands like that were Fire Ballet, Star Castle. Star Castle,
one of the members of Hands was on the On Reflection list, Gentle Giant list for a while, and I had some conversations with him. I think it was the keyboard player. I think he's in Texas now.
Good band. That first album is mind-boggling.
Some of my other favorites were the first two Ambrosia albums. Yeah, and then what was there was another one I was going to say, and it's now escaped me. I'll think of it in a minute.
Ambrosia was such a tight band. I remember thinking their studio stuff, I thought, oh, they're so well rehearsed. There's no way they can do that live. But they do.
There's,
I felt that way about Happy the Man too. This is so tight. They can't perform live like that, but they were able to pull it off.
There's almost no live video recordings of Happy the Man at all. I mean, there's even when they did the what is it, the Muse album? What's it called?
The Muse Awakens.
The music, yeah. Even when they did that, almost nothing. And it's like from far away. Some guy did it with his cell phone or something. There's almost no video of them. I don't know. And speaking of which, but
I know Stan. Go ahead.
I just remembered the other album that I used to play a lot. Of course, it was a little late. It came along a little late. It was the first UK album, and I saw them live with the original lineup, and that was just an incredibly awesome show. I mean, that was right up there with Gentle Giant. They were just, it was a killer concert.
And I was just born too late. Acquiring the Taste that is one thing I'm proud of. I was in my mother's womb and I was just getting ready to make my debut when Acquiring the Taste came out. So yeah, I was born too late. Wish I could have seen. I mean, I could just imagine. I've heard so many stories about their live concerts and stuff. What did you hear do you remember any particular songs you heard them play, you guys? I mean, live that was really made an impression on you?
I don't remember any of the tunes. I was in an altered state both times. The second concert I saw him at was wonderful. It was when they and Renaissance were touring, and they were tag teaming. One would open, the other the next night would open. I think on this, it was at Shrine Auditorium. Renaissance opened, and then Gentle Giant. That was a nice concert.
Can't imagine.
But I can't remember any specific tunes. It drives me crazy.
What about you, Dennis?
Anything that they played from In a Glass House impressed me, because, like you said, there was some, and I remember reading about it, but there was some problem with getting the album in the United States. And I remember finally getting an import copy, which I paid way too much money for on vinyl. And it was after I had heard them play it live and never got to hear it before that. So it was new. It was new to my ears, and I really liked it. I don't think they played any of the Three Friends the night I saw them. Like I say, they were promoting the Interview album, which was kind of funny because I don't think they played more than 2 or 3 songs from Interview.
Yeah. One of the things
I think one of the things that I mean, at the time back in the 70s, I was a guitar player, and I think probably one of the things that Gentle Giant in general just brings chills to me. I mean, I just feel it in a cellular way, and I think the guitar interplay really just you feel it viscerally. I do anyway.
I have so many.
You talking about the Octopus duet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the acoustic guitar.
Yeah, they're of one mind when they do that. It's awesome. I of course have the DVDs, and it's fun watching them.
I have a lot of one-offs of various concerts and a lot of things that have never been published. So so I have oh gosh, I don't even know how many concerts. I have a whole box that's just full of Gentle Giant recordings, but a lot of it is concerts. So from various places.
I was just trying to repost the link and see if anybody else would join us. But anyway, one of the things I've wanted to ask you guys about is, my opinion is that Gentle Giant could have done a lot better if some circumstances had gone their way. I mean, they had the pairing with Black Sabbath. They had the In Glass House album that, didn't get released over here. They had the British press that kind of snubbed them over there. I just think they could have done so much better given the right circumstances and given some of the support. I mean, Jethro Tull was a great pairing, and they respected one another. But Gentle Giant got thrown in with a lot of bands that, it wasn't a match. The audience that came for one wasn't going to be interested in them, and vice versa. I just think that, they had 10 years, basically, or 10 albums, and it was over. But I just think if some circumstances had gone differently, I think that a lot more people would have really got turned on to them. That's my opinion. I just wonder what you guys thought.
Yeah, their management had some issues.
Yeah.
I think I think you see a lot of that come out in what happened after Phil left the band. That's when I think there was a crack in the armor with the management, and it's kind of odd that Derek ended up in the music industry, finding and managing so many bands.
Well, and Shulman, Ray produced a number of bands. Yeah. When you think about a lot of these, you look at Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I mean, they had a shorter trip than Gentle Giant did, but they were huge because they were huge. Gentle Giant, what I mean by that is that they weren't huge. They were more like a chamber group than a 101 piece orchestra doing, Stravinsky. It was more like they were doing Debussy, with just 5-6 people. And the record companies didn't know where to put them. They didn't know what the heck this music was. And when you listen to anybody talking, on all the YouTube things, you listen to anybody talk about Gentle Giant's over here, and everybody else is right around here. They're just so unique. You can't compare them to anybody. It's hard to compare them to any band. You can compare other bands to Gentle Giant, Happy the Man and things like that. But they were just so unique. They stated on the first album that they were doing music. I don't remember the exact quote, but basically they were doing music to make the music. They didn't care if they were going to be popular or not. It did, I'm sure, get frustrating for them that they weren't getting the sales that they wanted. And then, of course, the end was the record companies pushing them to be more commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were getting on families and touring, and they were ready to just. I think that the life of Gentle Giant was the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was on reflection, was it no a proclamation, the occasional Gentle Giant newsletter. Anybody familiar with that?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I have those.
Yeah. Do you remember the letter that was sent out that they were trying to get a reunion, and that was asking for money, and then for that money we'd all get our own personal CD and all that. And at first I thought, hey, yeah, this is great. But then I thought, but they won't be Gentle Giant.
Yeah.
To make a new album, yeah, they could get together and play some of the old songs, but to put together a new album, it wouldn't be Gentle Giant. You look at some of the like Happy to Man, Muse Awakens. Was it Hands that did one a couple decades later? It was okay, but it wasn't. So I think the Gentle Giant had its life, and much like, say, Led Zeppelin, new generations go, what's this? It's so funny to think that you've got these kids that are in high school today that are going, wow, what's this new here? Listen to this new band. Listen to this song. It's Heartbreaker. It's called Heartbreaker. Listen to,
Mm-hmm.
And it's Led Zeppelin. And that's what's happening with Gentle Giant, is they have far more fans now than they did back then.
I wasn't immediately receptive to Gentle Giant the way some others were, because I think most people's path to Gentle Giant, especially nowadays, they're into progressive rock. They're into Yes, they're into King Crimson. And you've heard the best of their catalog, and you're like, well, what else is there out there? And that's how I found Gentle Giant. They were mentioned in the Rolling Stone album guide. And I was like, well, and I picked up one of their albums hoping to hear Close to the Edge or Fragile or something, because they didn't really give me much to expect, and it wasn't that. But again, I was pretty much hooked from the beginning. And one of my fondest memories is sitting in my bedroom there in the house I grew up in, and listening to Freehand till the cassette tape basically disintegrated. I'd played it so many times. And my dad would be like, what is that you're listening to? And I'd let him hear it, and I was kind of surprised. He kind of liked what he heard. But Gentle Giant is, if somebody's going to tell you another band is, if you like Gentle Giant, you like this other band, I've never been completely satisfied, because no, they're not Gentle Giant. Anyway,
I really like the one song when three friends got together and started doing that little mini tour that they did. I got real excited about that. For one, they brought the drummer back, Malcolm, who I was told he would never play again. I guess it was a car accident or something, that he was pretty bad shape, but he's such a technician on the drums that it didn't surprise. And I love watching the video that's on YouTube from I believe it's from the interview album called Empty City. And it was filmed in, looks like Malcolm's garage with two of the performers from 10cc and also Gary Green. And I don't know how many views that shows on YouTube, but at least 20% of the views are just me continually watching it over and over again. It's one of the favorite videos of all time. Just so well recorded, and these guys, the musicianship is unbelievable.
Well, he seemed to always have a lot of fun when he was playing. He was just having a great time. Let me start over again. So this was episode 5, Giant Chat it's our first kind of fan get together, and I'm hoping to have a few more of these. I kind of enjoyed it, Frank. We get to hear a little bit, stories from the fans, like I said, and those stories will be gone someday. So I'm glad we're getting a chance to kind of connect with other people here. And as we go, we'll be able to have maybe a few more of these. Maybe a little better promotion. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. And
Yeah, it was.
I really appreciated the response that the fans have given to our other videos, the one on interview. And I just want to share with you, if you're tuning in on YouTube, the Aspirations Gentle Giants project. It was started about the time this Proclamation fan video came out, and originally was going to be focused on trying to get a documentary going about the band, and that's in the band's hands now. But we decided, we're going to keep going because there's enough interest among the fans to get together to share about their love for Gentle Giants, and we're hoping to bring some new content to you. So if you haven't joined the Aspiration Gentle Giant project, they're on Facebook. You're welcome to join. We have a YouTube channel, of course, that you're seeing this on. But we're glad you're here, and I would like to have another fan get together. So if you are watching, you just contact me at mootown1971, MOOTOWN 1971 at Gmail if you'd like to be on a show. If you're a musician or you're not, it doesn't matter. We just like to, get together with you and, maybe have you as a future guest. But I want to thank Frank. Thanks, Frank, for all the work you've done on the videos, and really appreciated it. So we'll do this again sometime. But
All right.
Any parting thoughts, Frank?
No, it was fun, and come on in, people. Everybody's got a story.
Yeah. I'm hoping to hear some. I want to get one of Kerry Minier's roadies on one time. I'm hoping he'll join us sometime. But anyway, well, thanks for joining us. This has been the Aspirations Gentle Giant Project Giant Chat, episode 5. So we'll see you again. Long live the giant.
Hail.
Friends, where would I be without friends to take good care of me, my friends? What would I do? I would be alone on my own. Enemies, some say add spice to your life, but I've always hated to be so disliked. I can see why in this short span of time anyone does without friends. Friends, this is a song to thank you all for being my good friends. You only number just a few, but